you want to win a major and you want to compete at the Olympics. So I think those are the same as they've always been. I like jokingly said if I ever won any of them, I would retire on the spot.
Are you running a marathon? Oh my god, I could never run a marathon. You sure about that? My god, a marathon is like 42 kilometers, 26 miles. I don't understand those people.
That used to be me, but not anymore. Welcome to the Marathon Podcast. My name is Christian Warwick, aka Warwick Runs on different platforms. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And if you're a regular listener, welcome back. Before we start, I would just ask you to give this podcast a review. I would really appreciate it. I don't have any sponsors on so far, so that's the only thing I'm asking. And it would really help me to grow this podcast and make it seem like a legit podcast, which it is. We're up at, I think this is episode 40, actually. So it's been a fun run, fun journey so far, and I can't wait for what's to come. Today, we're having Erika Kemp on. And Erika is representing the US in Tokyo in the marathon distance in just a few weeks' time. And I've been wanting to have her on for a very long time. So I'm really happy to have her on and really appreciated her taking the time. And this conversation was a really good one in terms of learning how to train for the marathon, learning how to listen to your body, intensity control, your easy runs, and also how to run in the heat. Like, it's so hot right now, especially where she is in Rhode Island, and going to Tokyo, where it's also most likely going to be hot. She shares some of her insight on that. And she's only done like 2.5 marathons, and she's on the World Championships team. So really impressive. A 2:22 marathoner. I really think that you'll find this episode useful. So won't waste any more time here now. We'll just jump straight to the conversation with Erika. Enjoy. Welcome to the Marathon Podcast, Erika. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I was thinking about it before I was logging on this call now, and I was, because you were one of the first ones I think that I reached out to when I started reaching out to athletes. And obviously on Instagram, it's hard to get through on the request thing. So I was so happy when you wrote back, and I've been following you for a while. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry about that. Those it is super funny what gets filtered to like requests, and like sometimes even like things like this get filtered beyond requests to like hidden. And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want to open the hidden folder because I assume the algorithm hid it for a reason. And then it's just like a very sweet, like, hey, do you want to talk about marathoning? And I'm like, why did this get filtered out and some other crazy thing didn't?
Yeah, I know. I've been considering, like, because I have one Instagram account where I have a lot of followers, so it looks very legit. And then I have this new kind of running one where I don't want to bother all of my friends with all my running content. And so I've been texting people with the running content one, and then it doesn't have that many followers. So I think maybe that doesn't really help either. But here we are.
It's okay. We made it.
Yeah. First of all, we briefly talked about it before we started recording here. It's been a very hot summer, and you are preparing for the World Championships in Tokyo. How has your summer of training been with the heat?
So far, so good. My answer today is a lot different than it would have been like a month ago when we were like really in the thick of it, and like just that period of adjustment before you get used to doing all your workouts in like super hot, super humid conditions. Like there's definitely a few weeks on the front side of the training cycle where I was like, I genuinely don't know if I can do this. I like feel like I'm gonna faint every time we try to do something hard. But we survived. We adapted. We, made some changes for like fueling. We like tried out some more like cooling stuff because I think that's been the hardest part about me and like prepping for a hot race is I would consider myself a minimalist. Like I want to do the bare minimum outside of literally running hard. So like I don't want to wear an ice hat. I don't want to like wear this ice vest. I don't want to do that thing or this thing. I don't want to fuel if I don't have to, which we found out that's not an option. So it's been a big summer of growth as an athlete and like getting over those like annoyances to like actually perform.
And I talked to several runners about this and obviously experienced it myself. And I think this is like the first summer where I've had so many weeks back to back of heat every day. And it's really affected my performances in my like at my workouts and stuff. And my confidence is just like, not up there at all. How has that been for you? Do you feel like or are you very aware of that the body will react this way, or does it affect you at all mentally?
It for sure does. Because you just like you're so used to like going out and doing like similar workouts at similar paces, and you're like, I know exactly how this should feel. Like I don't even need a watch. Like I got this. And then you're way slower, or like maybe you are hitting your pace, but it feels so much harder. And you're like, what is wrong with me? Like all of my fitness and like all of my talent just like stayed at home, I guess. But it does come around. It just like it took weeks, but eventually like your body does adapt. But I will say, like now I can do exactly what I want to do in like those conditions, but it still feels bad. Cause like that's the weird thing about like when it's hot is that like you might be able to do like or have the performance you're capable of and like you are fit and you can like use that fitness, but being hot still feels terrible.
Yeah, I remember for a couple of weeks there, I was like, because I don't really drink alcohol, and then I had like a beer or two uh, a few days, and I was like, is it just because I started drinking alcohol that my like shape is so bad? And then at least here in Norway now it's much cooler, and then all of a sudden, like my shape was better than ever coming out of that. So I guess that's comforting to know for the next time I'm experiencing that much heat for that long.
Yeah, I mean, I think training in the heat like that, it is like we call it like the poor man's altitude. Like you're
Hmm.
definitely getting some extra fitness gains as long as you like survive it. And just like you were saying with back-to-back days when it's really hot out, you are so exhausted just like
Yeah.
in general. So like dealing with that was probably almost harder than figuring out how to like adapt your workouts. It's like how do I go out and run every day when I'm literally melting every day?
Yeah. Do you have AC at home so you like you don't have to be hot the whole day?
I do. I don't think I could marathon train without it.
No, that because that I was thinking about that this summer too because we bought a house last year and we have it installed AC yet, and it was so hot. Like I felt like I was walking around here for weeks without feeling cool
Yes.
even once, and it's just horrible.
I mean, like, a cold shower will help, like, right away, but then if you're sitting in, like, a warm house, it's like you're not recovering.
No, that cold shower works for like a couple of minutes after, and then you're
Mhm.
back to it. Erica, for those who don't know you, I mean, I was reading myself up on some of your results years ago before this chat, and like it's a pretty impressive list of things that you've done. For the listeners who don't know who you are, can you please present yourself and share a little bit of your running journey?
Yeah, I started running in high school, so I was about 14. I didn't actually want to run. My soccer coach was the track coach and very intensely persuaded me to try track. Um, had some success in high school, got a scholarship to run at university, ran at North Carolina State down in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is quite a bit of ways from here and where I grew up, which was New Jersey, but it's all on the East Coast. So there's one thing you're going to remember about me from this podcast. I am an East Coast gal through and through, but had some success in college. I was a six-time All-American. When I graduated, I moved up to Boston and ran with the team there for a few years. And then in 2023, I signed with Brooks Running ahead of my marathon debut at the Boston Marathon. I did that. It went okay. I
That's an understatement, isn't it?
yes, but it wasn't everything I wanted it to be, which I feel like is a very common thread with all athletes ever. You're just like
Yeah.
nothing's ever enough. You're never super satisfied with a performance. But I did get food poisoning like 6, 7 days out from my marathon debut. It is my fault. I ate something that was probably too old, and I knew it was too old, but, like, I really wanted it, and I was like, "What's the worst that could happen?" And then the worst happened. Um, but we survived, we learned our lesson, we don't eat mystery desserts from the back of the fridge anymore, we just go buy a new one. There I ran 2:33. It was, like, objectively, like, a good day, but it was more of, like, a survive thing, and the marathon was something I was excited to do and, like, thrive at. So then it took me another couple years training with my coach, that I also started working with in 2023. I actually lined up for the US marathon trials in winter of '24, DNF that, made it like 12 miles, and it was just not it. Like, from, like, the gun, I was like, "Something is just not right." Like, I feel horrific, like, just going backwards, like, immediately, just, like, not my day. So, did not finish that one. So that was would have been marathon number 2. Then flash forward another 11 months later, January 25, I ran Houston. I got second, and I ran 2:22 and qualified for this year's World Championships. And here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, but that actually that does the food poisoning explains my next question, because I was like, how do you go from 2:33 to 2:22 in that short amount of time? Because like, although it's a lot of people could potentially say it's only 10 minutes or 11 minutes, but it's still like at those times that is quite the improvement. So did you feel like 2:22 was more like that was more what you had in mind?
Yes, for sure. But I feel like realistically, it was probably still like a big jump. Like, even in training, like I said, I DNF'd in 2024, but like the difference we saw in like how I was doing in my marathon workouts in those 2 years was astronomical. Like, it was such a huge jump. It just like took a while to have that performance, but like you knew it was coming. But I'd say it's probably closer to like a 5 or 6 minute PB, which is still huge, but like not as flashy as like 11 minutes. But yeah, I was really, really proud of that run at Houston. And it's funny because I was like, oh, like athletes are never satisfied with their run. But I finished Houston and was like, no, like that was good. Like, I don't have a whole lot of notes from that. That was like exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's amazing. Wasn't that like historical also in the US? I read something about your 2:22 being pretty
Yeah.
historical.
So actually, my Boston run was too, um, which was honestly kind of made the day like so much better because I was like, coming off of food poisoning, a little disappointed in like the time and my performance. But when I ran that time in Boston, I became the fastest US born Black woman. And it was this huge moment. And it was just like this really beautiful experience for the next couple of years. And like, I, you know, gained like this greater perspective of like my place in like this marathoning world, especially like here in the US. Yeah, and then when I obviously lowered my PB by quite a bit in Houston, it kind of just like elevated that profile and obviously lowered that record by quite a bit.
What does that mean to you, for you?
Yeah, I feel like I get asked this a lot, and every time it's just like it's hard to like put it into words. But I just think about, like, the moments that, like, I've met people since doing that, because running can is, like, a smaller sport, it's not this huge international thing like soccer, it's not the NFL or the NBA, so it feels like the running world is, like, really small, like, we don't have these, like, massive celebrities, and, like, the average athlete doesn't have, like, millions of followers, but since doing that, it's been just so nice to, go to different events, or even like sometimes I'm in an airport or you're at like a camp, and like people recognize that and they like remember reading that headline about you, and they're just like having so many strangers be like, we're so proud, or like taking it one step further and they're like, you know what, I'm actually going to try this running thing. It's like, that's a huge win for me. Like, the more people that are like inspired to just like put on some shoes and like get outside, like the better, we all need to go outside a little more. I spend a lot of my day outside, but it's a good thing.
I think it's great to like what you're saying, and to hear that people are inspired by it, because that's what it's I feel like it's all about, especially in the running community. I see myself with the people that I follow. Sometimes it's like the small things, like you said, getting out there, because in the afternoon after a day of work, it feels like, oh, I would rather sit on the couch. But then I scroll on Instagram and I see someone, whether they've posted a photo of their watch after a run or whatever, and it's like, okay, he or she got out, I need to do the same. And then you rarely regret it after.
Yeah. And no, it's nice. And I hope, like, when I'm done competing, like, running will always be like my number one choice for like movement in like the rest of my life.
But so you qualified for the world championships now, and you've only done 3 marathons, or 2.5, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Uh, so was it a surprise for you? I guess, like, it could be that after Boston, was it a surprise to you that you were that good, or when did you realize that, oh, marathon is kind of my distance?
Yeah, I think, I mean, when I signed with Brooks in like early 23 and like started working with my coach, like we all thought I like could be really good at it. And even like my college coaches thought I could be really good at it. It's just like you never know when like your day is going to come. You just have to like keep training, and like eventually you'll see the payoff, and some people see it immediately like the second they graduate. But I guess for me it took a couple years, but that's okay. But it more felt like a long time coming versus this like surprise, because I think that was like a very funny experience. And like the weeks after Houston was, 11-minute PB, like how shocked were you? And I was like, I wasn't shocked. Like I wanted to do that. And like I worked really hard, and like my workouts up until that point told me that I could do something like that. So it was more just like validating to like put that performance out there, like in the public, like on paper. So like now everyone else like believes me, because like I believed me, but now I like have proof for like other people.
Yeah, that I think that is something that is so cool, or I love hearing that, because I think I was thinking about it yesterday, because now I'm training for my third marathon, and I've been so obsessed now in my head about like where I'm going, and obviously I'm not running as fast as you, but I'm aiming at a 2:45 marathon, and I had to remind myself this morning that I haven't done it already, because I was like, I feel like I'm definitely good enough for that in 3 weeks.
Right.
But I was like, but oh wait, I haven't done it yet. So like, because I almost look at myself as a 2:45 marathoner, but I haven't
As
really
you
done it.
should. Like
Yeah,
you
as you
have to
should.
like believe in it before it happens.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right. But I'm still curious. Like, regardless of your coaches believing in you and stuff, you had like the shorter distances. You're a U.S. champion on the 15K and 20K, is it?
Hmm.
Yeah. So was it hard to, or do you feel like you have left those distances behind and now focusing 100% on a marathon, or will you still keep that up going forward?
I mean, no, like not at all. I feel like my favorite distance is the half. It's just been really hard to like find time to like fit those in around the marathon, because the marathon is like the premier event. It's like
Mm.
the focus, because also I'm not very experienced at it, so I really need to like take the time to get really good at it and like try different courses, different competitions. So like I want to master the marathon, but like my heart is in the shorter distances. I think the half is probably my favorite by far. I just literally haven't had the time to fit it in, because it takes me so long to recover from the marathon, and we're just not willing to like compromise on the recovery time just to like, run a shorter distance. But I'm hoping we can fit more in the future.
And like, uh, how much of this is also based on the marathon being an Olympic distance? Because I guess the half you
Oh,
can't
all
really.
of it.
Yeah.
The half is an Olympic distance. I don't know if I'd be running the marathon right now.
No. I really liked your post after the Olympic trials, and like you said, you didn't finish, but it said something about, I don't know if it was the Olympics or delayed for me or something. I like that focus of like, it's not that you didn't qualify; it's just delayed.
Yeah,
And
delayed
and
but not denied.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it said. And I love that. And uh, you're 30 years old now, right? And
Yes.
so uh, when you have the Olympics in LA in 28, a lot of people would say that you're in your prime age for the marathon. Uh,
I hope
if
so.
you yeah, if you look like a few years ahead in time, like what what are your goals for the future?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they haven't changed since I, like, committed to taking on the marathon. I think a lot of professionals have the same goal, like, you want to win a major and you want to compete at the Olympics. So I think those are the same as they've always been. I, like, jokingly said if I ever won any of them, I would retire on the spot. Um, but we'll see.
Do you think that you actually would, or do you think that you would be even more motivated?
See, that's the thing, like, I wanna say right now, like, yeah, because like, how many people win one, let alone, like, go on to do more, but I definitely feel like 2 weeks after that win, you'd be like, "I gotta do it again." Like,
Yeah.
"That felt so good, I need to try again."
hmm Yeah, I think that's kind of a high that you can never get anywhere else. I obviously
Yeah.
never experienced it, but I'm sure it is.
No, I mean, you don't break the tape super often, but when you do, you're like, "Oh, that was really nice." Like,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever to, like, do that again.
But that's also one thing that I've found with the marathon that I find to be really nice. And obviously, like again, not at all at your level, but I feel like the marathon distance is a distance where everyone can feel like winners, even if they're not breaking the tape. Like you are still like you have a goal of a time, and that is like your gold medal, and that's unique. I think with that compared to a lot of other sports where it's so clear that you're either good or you're bad. Whilst with running, you can have different goals and be happy. So you can have a marathon where all runners are actually happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the wildest things to, like, learn and just, like, experience, like, before I even did the marathon, like, living in Boston and spectating the Boston Marathon in person, like, a few years in a row was insane. Because 'cause you're like, "1, why am I crying watching, like, thousands of people, like, crawl their way through the finish?" Like, I don't get it, and then, like, you keep watching it, you keep hearing all these stories and, like, just come to appreciate, like you said, like, the distance itself is this like massive undertaking, this massive challenge. So literally just finishing it, like regardless of time, is like this huge accomplishment and like worth celebrating. And like everyone's doing it for their own reasons, like from someone who like lost fantasy football, who's like their buddies signed them up or something, to people like doing it for charity or like in remembrance of like a family member or friend, or literally just because they needed a challenge. But everyone has something to celebrate, which I think is really fun and kind of why I think I've always loved like the road races a bit more than like the track, because the track is just it's so small and everyone's just like on this little circle and they're like running a very specific distance like as hard as they can, and like that's cool, but it's very much like, like racehorses like on a track. But then
Yeah.
when you're on the roads, it's like very human. Like you have people having, like, block parties. You have all of these, like, random people from all over the world, like, I don't know, there's just, like, a beautiful, like, chaos in it. Like, you're running these road races, but it's also just, like, life
Yeah.
for, like, a lot of people, and it's just, like, very fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, and what you were saying about the crying part, it's hard to understand why. Like, I ran Boston this year, and especially what's weird is that when you walk through that uh, area afterwards, like it's still closed off for just the runners, and you're just walking there by yourself. And at least for me, I was like smiling to people, being super happy and saying thank you while still crying a little bit. And you,
Right.
like you said, you don't really know why you're crying. it's like a combination of being proud and really tired, I guess. Something there
Literally.
that just brings everything out there. But also seeing, especially, I love seeing the kids out
Hmm.
on the course, and you can see that if they give you a bottle of water and you grab it, you can almost tell that it made their day just by grabbing that water bottle.
No,
And like
literally.
they did me a favor, but it seems like I'm doing them a favor by just grabbing it. So that's it. That's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah, like my boyfriend did his first road race last weekend in Narragansett.
Oh, really?
We did the 5 miler and I didn't take any water. I usually don't unless it's like a really long event. But like like when you take water from those kids, they get so excited. So
Hmm.
he said like towards the end, this kid was like really excited and was like, "This water will give you a PB." So he like ran over, he got it, he took it, and then as he like was leaving, they were like, "Oh no, that's the wrong cup." And he was like, "Oh no," and like had this whole like exchange with this random high school kid. And he could
Oh,
like
that's
hear them like
beautiful.
laughing about it as he was like running away. And I was like, those kids are gonna think about that for the rest of the week. Like you just
Yeah.
made their week. That's so funny.
It might even be like a story that they're talking about years from now.
No,
It's just like, do you
literally.
remember? Yeah.
I was like,
That's
I'm so
beautiful.
glad you like stopped for that.
Yeah. No, it's good. I think that is also something that I realized in Boston was that it's obviously fun to run for the result, but also just giving some high fives and stuff, like people are coming out there to cheer on us, like, and they're there for us. And also just like I did not run with AirPods or anything like that, because I was like, I really want to be present and show, almost like show my respect to the people who are coming out. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, and
no,
it
it's
makes the
nice.
whole experience, like, so much better, and, like, after even, like, after Houston, um, my favorite messages were the ones of the people who were like, "You, like, looked at me, like, you smiled at me when I cheered for you," and it's like, I don't remember what they look like, but I remember, like, hearing my name and, like,
Yeah,
looking at them and, like, giving them
yeah.
a little, like, "Thanks." But, like, just, like, connecting with people during your race, like, is so great.
And I don't know if this is random or not, but I talked to Jess McLean a couple of months back, and I talked to Leah, who's a part of the Brooks Collective, and now talking to you. And I was just thinking about it before our call, just like you and I texting about this call and following you on Instagram. It seems like those Brooks values are so good. Like I don't know if they are recruiting based on good human beings, or what's up with that. Can you say something about like that culture and the values of Brooks? Because to me, it seems pretty unique.
Yeah, I think at first, like, on, like, face value, it looks like they just got really lucky with, like, the human beings they have assembled, but, like, it for sure was, like, very intentional. Even, like, thinking back to when I was signing with them, I feel like 75% of our talks were about, like, me as a person and, like, my personal values and, like, what I was looking for in a brand, but not from, like, a financial standpoint. It's like, how can we, you know like, what do you wanna do in the running world? Like, what makes you happy? What kind of impact do you wanna have? Like, what do you do when you're not running? Like, what is, like, the best version of you that's, like, obviously gonna support you as an athlete, but, like, so many, like, personal questions, which you're like, "What are we doing here? Because like, I need a contract." But it makes a lot of sense. Like, I feel like Brooks has, like, done a really good job like, vetting people sounds, like, really intense, but just, like, getting to know them before, like, making that decision, and I think over the last couple of years, especially, that's led them to, like, sign just some really great people, and it's not like we are all, like, the same person, which I also think has been really cool. It's like we have this, like, assembly of very unique human beings, but everyone's also, like, really great, and when they've gotten us all together, like, we had a meetup in January, we did another one in June at headquarters, and we're all so different, but it's also, like, such a fun time, and, like, the vibes are so good, the energy is, like, incredibly positive, and everyone's so supportive, and it's, like, weird because everyone's also running so well. So like it feels like the bar is really high because you're like, everyone's performing at such a high level. Like I have to keep up to like be relevant on the roster, but everyone's also so supportive and like thinks that you can do it. So it's like a very cool like place to be right now.
Yeah, and what you were saying there, because I've obviously been following you guys through social media and that camp that you had, and to me, it just seems like that is unique for Brooks. I don't know if it is, but it just seems like you guys are posting more about it, and it seems like much more of a you talk. I hear so much about Brooks and you call each other teammates, right? And so I feel like a lot of athletes might be sponsored by different brands, but they're not necessarily teammates. But
Hmm.
in your case, it seems like that it is like that. And is that something that is intentional, like from Brooks' side, or is that something that just happened?
Yeah, especially because our like main road roster is all independent contracts. So we're all like scattered around the country, like literally hundreds, if not thousands of miles apart most of the time. So I think like Brooks has done a really good job curating like a team culture with all of these like individual athletes. And they've like literally told us, like, we know you guys are like thriving in like your unique setups and like you're at home, you're with your families, your friends, your coaches, like whatever, like that's what's best for you. But we still want you to feel like you have a team. So I feel like they've done a really good job of like creating opportunities for that, for like connecting us, whether it's like digitally or in person, just to make it feel like you have a team.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's really cool when you see brands like that and how they're able to actually show that. Like you guys show that, and it seems so sincere and genuine. And I think that also makes it makes you respect the brand much more because it doesn't feel like it's just like you said, you guys are also fast runners, but it feels like the recruitment is more about the human being part of it, which is it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been very fun last couple of years.
Yeah, I can imagine. I want to ask you a little bit about your training and where you're coming from, because like we talked about before, you did run a bit shorter distances and then moving into the marathon. Before we talk about the specific marathon training, what did your training look like before you started running marathons?
I think it was pretty standard, like Tuesday, Friday workout, long run Sunday, sometimes long run Saturday, but usually like the classic Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, 7-day cycle, probably like 70, maybe 80 miles a week. But like all the sessions were pretty hard. And I definitely found myself like riding a lot of roller coasters, like you'd feel really good and then you'd feel really bad for a couple of weeks and just doing that for a very long time. And then when we moved to the marathon, my current coach wanted to just like try some other things to kind of avoid those valleys because he's like, it's a marathon. Like, you don't need to peak every other month. Like, you need to peak for this marathon. And then we have like 6 months to recover. So we started spreading things out. So it's closer to like a 10, almost like 12-day cycle sometimes. Like, I'll go a couple weeks without a long run just to make sure we like have enough time between those like more intense sessions. And I would say mileage is still pretty similar, like probably in the 80s. Like, my overall volume hasn't changed too much in like a 7-day period, but like how we, schedule different things has changed quite a bit moving to the marathon.
So what are those differences in the scheduling? What would you say that I guess like the long run might be a bit longer and basic
Yeah.
things like that. But other than that, what are the
Yeah, so
differences?
instead of like when you're on like that like Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, you have like 1 or 2 days between sessions. And it takes me like a week to recover from a long run. So definitely like taking lots of time after those and sprinkling in some like shorter things like sets of 400s or whatever just to like shake out the legs and like make sure you can still run decent paces. Um, but even after like regular like workouts that like years ago, I wouldn't have taken 3 or 4 days after them of, like, easy runs. I would just take 2. Now we, like, always take at least 3 just to be safe, and then take that 4th day if you need it too, but just making sure we're, like, fully recovered from every session so that when we get to the next workout or the next long run, we can, like, actually give it 100%. 'Cause it's which has been, like, amazing and, like, I think has been, like, a huge part of why I've made such a huge jump in, like, training and performance. Cause like, you might show up and give 100%, but if your body is only at 30%, you're you're not doing that much, but being at 100 and then giving 100, you can, like, really get the most out of it.
What if you say you were to do a long run on a Saturday and then you wake up on Saturday and not that you're feeling sick or like injured or anything, but you just feel like you're at 60 or 70%, like a bit tired. Do you adjust?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Luckily, I haven't had to do that for a literal long run, but 2 there were 2 days during the Houston build where one of them was so bad. I was supposed to have, I was supposed to do 10 by K pretty quick and got to the track. It was, like, cold, it was super windy, and I just did not feel good. I did the
Hmm.
first one and was, like, 20 seconds slow. And, like, we didn't even know like, my coach didn't even know what to say. I didn't know what to say. We just, like, looked at each other, and we were like, "I don't know what that was." Like, "I guess I'll, like, try again." So, like, took recovery, tried a second rep. It was, like, maybe 2 seconds faster, and I was like, "I don't know what's happening, but, like, this is not happening today." Like, I could, like, go to the well, and I don't think I'm coming close to what we're trying to do today. And he was like, just, like, go home. We'll just, like, try again tomorrow." And then the next day I was fine. But,
Yeah.
like, I feel like 3, 4 years ago, we would have just, like, powered through and just had, like, a horrible session of Ks, and, like, I would have been even more fatigued, and then more so mentally, I would have been, like, so put down because it was so bad. But just, like, going home and, like, resetting and just, like, trying again, like, a day later made a world of difference. And then I was like, great, everything's perfect, like, no need to panic, no confidence lost, but yeah. And yeah, just, like, knowing I have the freedom to, like, move something a day if it's, like, going terribly also gives you, like, a little comfort when you, like, go to try it in the first place.
But I love hearing this because, and I think that this is something that probably a lot of the listeners and a lot of athletes, whether they are at a very high level or not, they can learn from because it's so easy to be caught up in that. Oh, we have a plan today. We have to push through. We have to do this. And this also, like, this workout is so important. If I don't get that in, then, you know, and being able to listen to your body and then I mean, the consequences can be pretty big if you push through on a day like that. At least the recovery time can be fairly long.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, just, like, pick your battles. Like, I think it's been really great to just, like, know what the priority is on the workout day. Like, is it the volume? Is it the intensity? Is it, like, what are we trying to do today? Because just picking, like, one thing that you're trying to get done, I feel like gives you a lot of flexibility in, like, how you do it. Because it's like, "Okay, we really, really need to get the volume in. You don't feel great. Let's adjust the pace." Or it's
Yeah.
like, "I really, really wanna get the pace in today." So it's like, "Okay, let's adjust the volume." If, like, Ks feel too much, like, let's do 800s. That feels too much, okay, let's do 4s. Like, we'll do whatever we need to do to, like, accomplish the goal for the day, but, like, it's okay to make changes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also been really valuable for, like, the marathon because you have no idea what's gonna happen. Like, you can
No.
have a race plan, but, like, who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah. But your easy runs, like, because I feel like I always ask athletes a couple of questions. One of them is, what does an easy run look like for you? Like, how easy or how slow do you go?
So I guess it varies depending on, like, where I'm at in the training cycle, but also, like, the time of year, because that's also been really funny, like, not comparing it to, like, how I was, like, feeling and running back in, like, December, because December was, like, nice. Like, yeah, it was kinda cold, but also it's really easy to deal with the cold. You just wear a jacket. But when it's 90 degrees, you, like, don't want to put any more stress on your body than like it already has. So you really have to slow down. Um, so my easy runs are probably a minute and a half slower than they were 6 months ago, but
Oh,
it's also like what they need to be. Cause like if you're looking at like heart rate data and just like going off of like how you feel, it's like I'm in the right zone. It's just like really slow right now because it's so hot. But yeah, easy runs are super, super easy. And I think I like everyone always tells you that like easy days easy, like they've been screaming it from the rooftops forever, but it's also like, yeah, but it's also nice to run fast on your easy days because like you feel cool. But then Emily Sisson has since moved to Ireland, but when she was here, I would always run into Emily on her easy days and she runs super slow. And she was like, I literally have to. And it's like, well, she's the American record holder. I think she knows what she's doing. So that gave me a lot of confidence to slow down a ton on my easy runs.
yeah. I think that that's something that's easy to neglect when it comes to the running, and like you said, especially when you get in shape, right? Like, and everything feels pretty easy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily easy in like the effort seems easy, but it's not. But like on the if you look away from the days where it's super hot like it is right now, how do you like, is it heart rate that you base your easy runs on, or is it pace? What is it that determines for you the easy intensity or low intensity?
I would probably say more heart rate, because it can vary wildly on the day with your pace. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so like if I'm doing like an easy recovery run, I don't want it higher than like 130 if I can, which like you can. You just have to keep slowing down. And like
Yeah.
some days it's like painfully slow, but then you are like actually recovering. So yeah, it's been a journey learning how to like have some self-control, but it also does feel nice and like the payoff is great if you like actually slow down.
Is that a big difference from back when you were running shorter distances?
Yeah. Also just like learning in general because it's I don't think I realized like how impactful that was because I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm not like hitting like my like threshold on my easy runs. So like it must be like a recovery run." And it's like, no, like it's still too much. Like you still could relax a little more because it's easy to be like, oh, well, I feel great. Like this feels easy. And it's like, yeah, but like your body's still working harder than it should on your easy day. So like you need to relax.
Yeah. And then your workouts in a typical marathon block, I'm sure it depends on where in the marathon block you are, but like generally, what do they look like? And we'll talk more about the long run after, but like those other workouts or higher intensity workouts, what do they look like?
I feel like we do a fair amount of like longer intervals. So like 2Ks, 1.5 mile repeats, 2 mile repeats, like things that are over like 5 to 7 minutes of running hard. And we do a lot of that at like half marathon to like 10K pace. And I just feel like that's been super helpful because it makes marathon pace stuff feel really like manageable. If you're like, I can do a lot of work at my 10K pace, then I can slow down quite a bit and like do 26 miles at marathon pace.
And when you have those sessions, like how frequently do you have them? If say you have it on a Tuesday, when is the next time you'll have something like that?
Probably a week later.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll do like a bigger session and then kind of like a teaser, like shakeout kind of workout in between. And then the next session will either be like a long run or another set of like long reps.
Yeah.
And like the shorter one, like I said, is like 400s, 600s, just like
Hmm.
something short and speedy. So you like don't entirely lose touch of it.
Yeah. And when you have that session that you were just talking about, or the workout, how much rest do you have between
For the long ones or the short ones?
the shorter ones? Sorry, no, sorry, the longer ones.
Yeah.
When you said 2K and like,
I was gonna say, honestly, the recovery is the same. I feel like I always have like 2 minutes for everything,
hmm
which does make it really hard when you're doing like 2 mile repeats on like 2 minutes recovery
yeah,
because you're like, wow, I thought I would have more. But the 2 minutes after 400s is great.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I was talking to Rory Linkletter earlier this spring, and we were talking about a session where I kind of went out and I thought, okay, now I'm gonna do uh, the same kind of workout as my 10 times K
Hmm.
threshold trainings or workouts, and then uh, I did that, but just at a higher speed. Like I was going much faster, and I was like, I'm really struggling with this rest that is 1 minute between these.
Oh,
And then he was like, you cannot have that. You have to
that's
have
insane.
much longer. Yeah. So I learned that the hard way. I
Yeah,
had my first workout and the conversation with Rory on the same day. So then I was like, he kind of
that's so
help me
funny.
adjust on that. Yeah. I felt a bit stupid, to be honest. I like to think that I'm smart about training, but after that conversation and not having had that workout earlier that day, I was like, you're not so smart after all, are you? So
But I also feel like maybe along the way you were misinformed because I also feel like doing 10 by K on 60 seconds is like just like such a classic workout that I'm
yeah.
sure a ton of people have done, but I haven't done that in years and I don't think I ever would because like why would I only take 60 seconds?
And I mean that works great if you're actually doing threshold pace, right? Like
Right.
if it's actually the right intensity. So
But
I
like
think that
we
was
never do
the
that.
no, no, right. So the long run, and this is the always the most interesting question in my opinion. How do you solve the long run, or what does that look like?
Um yeah, the first half is pretty easy and the second half is really hard. um
But
Yeah, I mean, that's like the bare bones of it, but it will change depending on where we are in the buildup. But like coming up, it's a 10-mile run into 10-mile tempo into 2-minute cool down. So
mhm.
22 total with like 10 miles of work kind of on like the back half of it.
And is that a steady run then for the last 10 miles, or do you have
I would say it's
re-
closer to a progression just because it's all
mhm.
continuous and like going from, slightly faster than your easy run pace to your marathon pace in less than a mile just like feels terrible. So it
Yeah.
ends up naturally being a progression. But yeah, just like trying to like squeeze it down a little more every mile. And then once you like hit your marathon pace, just kind of ride it out there and like make it feel as like easy as possible. And like that's when you're thinking like, okay, I'm 18 miles into this. I'm running the pace I want to run. And like at that point, you kind of like, at least for me, I'm like mentally taking note of how I feel and like you're focusing on like fueling and like just like dealing with the latter half of the race versus like constantly checking your watch because you're like, this is like one of the best times you can practice what to do when you like rapidly approach mile 20 on like heavy legs.
Yeah. And so when you are at the end of a long run like that, obviously it's hard, but how hard is it? Is it like you almost have to lie down and you feel like you're about to throw up, or do you still feel okay, but it was a good and hard workout?
Yeah, ideally, no. You don't feel like you need to like lay down immediately and like potentially throw up because you are keeping in mind that you're still a few miles short of like the actual race. And also in general, I just don't we never really go that far over the edge in training. You kind of save that for race day. And like I like to finish those bigger sessions feeling like I have a lot, not necessarily a lot, but like I have plenty of running like left. Like, oh, that was really good. Like I finished pretty fast. Like I'm really happy with that run, but like finish on my 2 feet, like, fully conscious, knowing that, like, I could dig much deeper, like, if I had to, because like, that's what you'll have to do on race day.
Yeah. It seems like you're being pretty smart about your training. Do you feel like that is your approach to your training as well? To be smart?
Um, Maybe. I feel like I'm taking a lot of credit from my coach. I think I'm, like, very good at listening to, like, what I'm supposed to do, and I think just his approach to training has worked really well for me because it is very thoughtful and, like, has an emphasis on, like, how you're feeling and like the number one thing in our like marathon build is to get to the start line 100% healthy and 100% like you know ready to run. So
Yeah.
like that comes before being like the fittest you've ever been in your life. But I also think the payoff is incredible because I don't know, like when I got to the starting line in Houston, I felt like that was the first time in a while where I like stood on a start line, like super excited to run and like fresh. And there's like no substitute for like your body not feeling terrible on the start line.
Yeah. But in terms of the mileage, because I don't know if you thought about this, but at least for me, like I'm following so many runners on Strava, on Instagram, and you see a lot of high mileage weeks. And like you said, you're probably not one of the runners who like has the most mileage. Does it stress you out, or have you kind of found what really works for you, or do you think that you'll up the mileage eventually? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Um, I don't think I'll probably ever up it that much. Because I just feel like we have kind of like found that sweet spot for me where I can like do like all of the training that I want to do at like a decent volume without getting like too tired. Because we have like not recently, but anytime I really get over like 90 miles a week, I'm just like so tired in my workouts. They're like not even close to what I usually do. And it's just like not worth it. Like it's not
Mhm.
worth the additional fatigue I incur to randomly run super high mileage when like I don't feel like I need it because I don't really know what it's supposed to do for you. I just feel like there's a lot of different like approaches to the marathon, and mine definitely comes from like a 10K background. Like that like strength, like that pace, like that is what like powers me through versus like I wasn't that fast, so I'm slogging like heavy miles to kind of like make up for it in a sense. Like there's just different ways to approach it, and mine definitely isn't from like that like high mileage part. I also think a lot of it is mental. Physically, I don't handle high mileage super well. Mentally, I have like no desire to do it. And that's just like so much time in your week spent running if you're trying to get like over 100. Like you're running all day every day. Like that's cannot fathom that. Um, but yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
because
I don't think it's for me.
no, but I think that makes sense, and I think it's also great for people to hear that, because you have, I don't know if you're familiar with Ran to Japan on YouTube. He has like, I don't know what it is in miles because he posted, but he has like 300 kilometers a week, and today he ran, was it almost the length of two marathons or
Oh,
something, or like
geez.
a marathon and a half, something like that. That is like
That's a
his
lot.
almost his normal day right now, because he
Oh,
moved to he moved to Japan, and he's trying the Japanese way, and he's just going all in, and he's doing really well. But
that's
he,
good.
yeah, so that's good for him. But I think it's easy to be kind of stressed out for
Yeah.
other runners by seeing that, because like, oh, but then my mileage is like nothing, and just to see that there are individual preferences, but also differences with for runners when it comes to that, I think is
Yeah, I
important.
mean, if you think about like watching a lot of like the like last 5 kilometers of like Boston or New York or even like the Olympics, like those women are running so fast. So like
Yeah.
you want me to run 120 miles a week? I don't think I can close with them. And like one of these days, like if you really want to like be on that podium, you're going to have to still be pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I'm just like not willing to give that up for the sake of like chasing miles, but I also just think that's just like how I respond best. But yeah, with like the like stress almost of what other people are doing, I think it helps that I literally don't have Strava. So like I have no
Mhm.
idea what anyone's doing outside of like if they post it on their Instagram story. And even then, there might be like a moment or two where you're like, oh, like it's really impressive or like that's a lot. But just like remembering that like you all have different bodies, you all came from different backgrounds, and you're like, if I did that today, I would be wrecked.
Yeah.
Like it'd be really cool if I did that, but also it would not be good for me.
And I guess it helps to know that you've done a 2:22 marathon the way you're doing it. You
Yeah.
know it works for you. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But whatever you're doing, you just like have to like have confidence in it. Like whatever training plan you're following, you just like have to follow it. Because if
Yeah.
you're like constantly questioning everything, if you're like trying a billion different things at once, like one, it's really hard to figure out what's working. Like, I don't know, maybe try like one or two new things at a time instead of like 10, because then you don't know what's like good or bad. But also just like whatever you're doing, as long as like you're pretty confident in it and you like follow it through, like you'll probably see some good results.
Yeah. And you did mention something about like uh, finding the time to run that much. What does a normal week look like for you in terms of the running?
Yeah, I think I double like twice a week. So primarily just like morning sessions that are anywhere from like 9 to 14, 15 miles a day, depending on like what we did.
Mhm.
And then the like 2 days I double, one of them is like a sprint development day. So it's like super short in the morning with like some hill sprints or some like longer strides or some 150s or something on the track. And then like an evening run. Um, yeah. And then the second half of the day when I'm not running, just being a normal person.
Yeah. Nice. We need to talk a little bit about Tokyo before we end our conversation. And um, you were born in Japan, right? Is that
My
right?
parents were in the military, so they
Mm-hmm.
happened to be stationed over there when we were born, but they moved back stateside like less than a year after I was born.
Okay, yeah, but does that still like does it feel a bit more special for you going to the World Championships in Tokyo now, or do you not have a relationship to that at all?
No, I think I mean, I've always wanted to go back because it's like on my birth certificate that it's
Yeah.
like it's like a US birth certificate, obviously, because I was like US military base, but it does
Mhm.
say like instead of having like a state, it says like Okinawa, Japan, and you're like, it's pretty cool. Would be nice to see it because I was like an infant when I like moved back. So it's a nice like full circle moment to get to go back there and like to do it like representing the US since like I was born there because my parents served this country.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I assume that like this was it this yeah this spring when you were told that you were going. Like, can you share how that felt? Like the feeling of I don't know if you got a call or if it was an email or whatever, however
It was
you
an
were
email.
told. Yeah. Can you share that moment?
Yeah, it was an email, and it was really cool because I was actually in Europe. My boyfriend's currently in the army, and he is stationed in Germany, so I was actually visiting him when I got that email. So it was just really cool because like, he's, active duty military, like, serving every day, and I was like, "Hey, like, I'm also, like, doing something for our country."
Nice.
Like, no weapons involved, but, like, I will be running on behalf of the US, so it was really cool. It was really special.
Yeah. Is it like kind of I don't know when you open an email like that? Most of us will never open an email like that. Do you see it like immediately that this is what it is, or did you have to open it and keep reading down a little bit until you actually saw that?
No, thankfully, this email was, like, a lot less scary than, like, the, doping emails because those are the way
Oh
they're
yeah,
written
yeah.
is terrifying because we'll get into that after, but no, this one started with, like, "Congratulations," so you're like,
Okay,
"Okay, it's
yeah,
something positive."
yeah. That is
Like,
good.
you can keep reading without stress, but, like, for at least USADA, I think they're the only
Mhm.
one that does it, but usually, like, your country's, like, doping agency will only inform you about a test if you fail or if something's wrong, but USADA sends you an email whenever it's, like, done and, like, your results are in. So,
Mm.
like,
Mhm.
obviously, when your tests are, like, clean too, they still send you an email, but the way the first paragraph is written is so scary because it's, like,
Oh,
information about your doping test, and you're like,
that would
"Hello?"
stress me out
But
so
it's also funny because 'cause you're like, "I don't take any supplements, I don't do anything, like, I haven't had any
yeah.
weird foods, so, like,
Uh,
there's no way I, like, failed a doping test." It's like, "You didn't," but it's like, then why
yeah.
was the email so scary?
Yeah. No, but I understand that. It's kind of like I don't know, there are some spam uh text messages going. I got one from Massachusetts the other day where it was like you have not paid for this and this on your car, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I got so stressed out. And then I realized I don't own a car in the US. So there's
Right.
no way you can have it. It was fishing, but like
Or like when
still stresses
you're
you out.
at like the airport, like going through security and they're like, no weapons. And you're like, oh my God, did I like pack any? And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I've never
hmm
packed any. I don't own any. But like
No,
maybe there's
exactly.
one in my carry-on just because.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I had like, it wasn't even protein powder. It was just like a drink mix. But y- before I started using Morton, they were like in big bags. So I just put it in like a transparent plastic bag. And
Oh
having that in
gosh.
my bag, I was
Yeah,
like, what if they stop me now thinking that this is
yeah,
something else? I guess they
literally.
could just taste it and be like, okay, this is not something illegal. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
get
scary.
paranoid. Yeah. Well, what last question? What is your goal for the World Championships in Tokyo?
Yeah, I think my like a goal would probably be, well, I actually don't know how you're supposed to structure them, like big to small, but I think the bare minimum I want to be top 10, but like on the right day with the right race, like anybody can win. So like you don't know how the conditions are going to be, but I mean, we're not going to race conservatively in Tokyo. I think like our whole team is really well prepared. I think we're all really excited and I think it's going to be a good day to send it and just like see what we can do out there.
Do you feel well prepared?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you asked me last week, I would have said maybe, but this week I feel very prepared.
Okay, that's really good to hear. I really appreciate that you took the time. I mean, it's we're not that far out from the World Championships, and just the fact that you're taking the time to guest the marathon podcast, I really appreciate that, Erica.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
So after this conversation, the first thing Erica asked me was like, "What are you training for?" And where is your marathon? So it's kind of like I've said it before. These Brooks runners, I don't know if it is something about them or uh, if I'm just very lucky with my guests, but they all seem like such nice people, human beings, and I really appreciate that. And I hope that that comes through in the episode too, like how nice of a person Erica is, and just her taking the time now that close to the World Championships. And I know that a lot of people would say that they're too busy. I also found her insight and her experiences very interesting, and you know made me think about myself today because I woke up and felt pretty tired. Yesterday I was really tired, and I do want to get my runs in. I'm 3 weeks out from my marathon when recording this, and when you're listening to this, I'm 2 weeks out, so hopefully I'll feel even better next week. But I'm really tired, and so I was like, I'm just gonna take a rest day, a day off today. Seems like a good idea, but it's always hard, and especially when you get closer to your goal, because you feel like you need to prepare, right? And hearing what Erica said about that kind of confirmed that and made me feel better about that decision. So yeah, I appreciated that and appreciated the conversation with Erica. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation wherever you listened to it, whether it was on a run or in the car or cleaning the house before the weekend. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for listening to the Marathon Podcast. My name is Christian Warwick. Look me up, Warwick Runs, on Instagram and YouTube. And I'll talk to you in the next one. You listen to the Marathon Podcast, brought to you by Wild Studio.